Okay, so everybody, thank you for coming out. I'm Chris Wiegand. I'm in from Denver, Colorado. I'm with Adaptive Ventures and direct cycling and paddle sports nationally. So the goal is to allow youth, adults, and veterans with physical disabilities access outside, adventure, and opportunities to explore. So we have 12 main sports, and we tour the country. We say we bring the mountain to you. So we're a little different than the average adaptive sports agency that's static. So me, I get to tour the country, go to all the VA hospitals, work with physical medicine rehab docs, PT staff, OT, and prescribe bikes for people with disabilities. I've worked with nearly 10,000 people this year, and I am still part of a many week tour, including Puerto Rico. So that said, disability in the marketplace, disability for the end user is something that a lot of people either do not understand, are afraid of, or are just feel they're ill-equipped to make that happen, both accessibility-wise and as a sport participant. So we surround ourselves with community partners, no matter where we travel, and make opportunities available to grow the community and add more smiles. So any questions before we go?
Yeah, what are those bars that go across here? You can put on a bike to get on the
And we could talk about the adaptations and gear accessories we'll get into. So
I'm David Black. I'm with Rad Innovations and Haza Bikes, and Chris and I worked together over the last number of years on different venues and different cycling and how to make biking better. So today Chris is involved in a lot of sports, as he just said, but today we're going to focus more on the cycling side of it. And we're going to just show a variety of bikes that have been really amazing to a lot of people, whether it's VA or public or, we have a solution. It's really unusual that we can't fit somebody to enable them to do something that they thought they never could or could do again. So we'll go step by step, and we might... How would you like to go? Bike by bike, or?
So I think we talk about, so I always say I've got a medical background, and assessment's the first thing we do. So eyes, nose, head, kind of cover that. What does the body carry? Nose, knees, toes. So how do things align? How do things move? Are they even there? So a lot of times people just don't know what to do. So adaptations. We'll start with the foot. For a foot pedal person, a lot of people come in, they don't have a foot or they don't have a leg, or they have an impaired foot or leg. So there's many different pedal types. We have everything from HP, from Hasa, and then there's things that I carry a 3D printer, and I create our own solutions if we need to, and work with universities and engineers to be able to make sure things can happen. Hand drive. We've got different pin drives. So the grip for somebody with quadriplegia or other grip related things using on a hand cycle, to standard mountain bike pedals, larger platform, helping with plantar fascia issues or giving more foot coverage with a simple strap so you still get the upstroke. And then you've got the ankle foot orthotic sort of models that allow the leg to stay middle, because anytime we're dealing with a person with a disability, we want to think about normal range of motion and function as much as possible. Flexion, extension, just like you would want to if you're a dealer to pedal, you want to try to bring that body in that zone as well to minimize pain and obviously keep the fun factor engaged. Dave?
Yeah, so the fitting is, the difference of half an inch can make all the difference in the ability for a leg to work or an arm to reach to. And what we try to do is, the best way to describe it is on a bike, really. We try to fit the bike to enable the greatest ability of the individual to function and work to adjust to the disability. So I would fit this bike to be optimum in reach. So when they're positioned and straight, they're able to pedal the bike. This is a hand and foot cycle, as the case may be. It's called a Berkel bike. And then I would fit to the feet whether they're passive or active. So if it's an active foot and it can push, then it's a pretty conventional pedal can work, or we can provide more support to that. If it's just passive, we might put a platform pedal on there with a calf support to enable those legs to flow. Even if the legs don't have a lot of function, the circulatory and tone response will come through, and you'll have a healthier tissue base. So that's just an example of adapting, or an extreme example of adapting a bike.
And these bikes are also not just for the general community, but there's a lot of hospitals and rehab institutions, somebody recovering that's used to a passive assistive range of motion, a machine and the bed to get the hip and the knee moving. This can act in a similar sense. Somebody with MS, it allows their legs to still, it might not be the driver of their energy and balance anymore, but it engages them still while they still have use of their legs. So we're always looking top to bottom, how can things behave better than they currently are?
One of the tricks that we run into is enabling people to feel comfortable in moving. If they're feeling like they're going to fall down, they may not work, or they may hesitate to try to do something. If they feel like they can sit on something with comfort and stability, they're more likely to be more active, which is going to follow through with better health and better balance altogether. If it's case by case, we've got different stories for all. We've got a couple of different bikes. I mean, we started with the Berkel bike. We've got hand cycles for paraplegic, quadriplegic, double amputees, and there are a variety of flavors and a variety of adaptations to these bikes as well. Again, each person has a different core strength, a different size, a different condition. We want to fit to the optimum of that individual. So we also want to design product that is easy to fit to different individuals. In Chris's case, he might deal with 30 people in a given day or more. He might be dealing with 3 or 4 really complicated cases. The days change, I would say.
And the big thing for those that are fitting bikes, selling bikes, is open mind. Think everything you've ever read and throw it out the window. The first thing is, are they smiling? Are they engaged? It's the person's you're not just selling a bike, you're not just fitting a bike, you are potentially saving a life. So this is our role to make sure nobody feels insignificant again. They have a community as a cyclist now. So this is something much greater. So with that, you look how the body is and you work with it. If they can't push with their right leg, well, that's something you might have to shorten the crank on that side to lessen that. And we have crank shorteners and such set up on some of the bikes. Every bike here is like us. We all have different personalities, different shoes and clothes. Same thing. You dress your bike how you need it and how they need it. And again, open eyes, open hearts, and just a lot of questions to, does that feel right? You know, lots of these perceptive relationship.
So to that point, we could take questions and we might be able to engage in some fairly informative information. I see a lot of people here that I see a few dealers, I see a few people that have had questions during the day at Recumbent CycleCon 2019. But would anybody like to ask a question or give us a challenge? Sir.
Yeah, a prosthesis, arm prosthesis. This was a quadruple amputee, and the problem, we handled the brake, we handled the pedals. The biggest problem we've had is the grip. It's the classic hook type grip. What have you done to make it easier for folks with that type of prosthesis to steer?
So there's different things.
On a trike.
Yes, on a trike, you can put the bike in a vise. The handlebar, squash it. Again, super simple. Squash it to the shape of the hook, rubber coat it, electrical tape, those types of things. It doesn't need to be much. Something that allows retraction, extension, flexion to be able to control the steering. We've done two-wheel bikes to where a person's clipped on and then uses their butt as the brake and their knee as the shifter. So there's lots of things that you can do. Again, there's no rules other than as long as you're not risking safety. So risk management's always the thing, but if we know it's a grip issue and it's just simple steering, it's a push on both hands. It's not so much a pull. So you can squash the grip, or you can do other modifications. You can cut and put a bolt in. There's a lot of options. So you can put a star nut in the top with a bolt and then go to that. So again, you're all allowed to be engineers. So.
And to that point, we'll take calls 24/7 on if you're a dealer and you're trying to set somebody up. You know, if we don't know the solution, we know somebody that does, and we're glad to share that with anybody that has any concern.
And I've got information on how to reach out to me if you have a disability specific question at some point. My phone's always on, my email's always available. So we want to assist the community. That we're a nonprofit that serves everybody free of charge, and our goal is, again, more people active.
Anybody else have a question? We're going to try to stage it here, and I'm going to, so that I can control the camera a little better with Gary. Beth, what would you like to say?
Okay, with me having MS, my right leg always goes off.
Right.
So for that thing there, would it be good to have, would it hook into the pedal? That leg thing you just
Okay.
showed, could it have-
Okay. So for feet that sometimes don't have the strength that or the control that you want, we've got pedals that we can secure your like a toe cage and a bungee cord that'll kind of help to keep that foot into position. Well, what we do is we rotate that pedal to compensate for the weakness of your leg, so that it's going to realign the wheel or the knee to the pedal or to the
other thing
crank.
we could do is with your seating, you can go put foam that's cut, so closed cell mini cell foam, and you can wedge the hip on that one side to get, again, there's an internal external rotation of the hip, and a lot of times with MS and many other injuries or illnesses, you start to break down in your hip flexors. So that if you change, like David was saying, the internal point of the toes and heel, what does that do? You want to be careful that you don't change how the joint moves. Now you end up with knee pain, hip pain, other things.
I've done that without having this foot tied down, and it's come off and gone under.
And that's,
Well,
we want to be
that's
very,
real pain.
you
Yeah,
always
yeah.
want to, you always want to have a rubber band of sorts, even if it's a simple toe clip,
Yeah.
just for this, because as with our feet in an up position, we just they slide off.
Well, everybody does.
Everybody
Not
does.
me, but everybody gets it.
I get, you go over bumps, you go over, so I always highly suggest, and it allows you to relax the foot. Also, again, like David was saying, there's different foot pieces that allow that to happen. There's some hanging up on the bikes, they have Velcro response, so with a higher rigid plate. So there's so many options that aren't a medical device to keep your feet on the pedals and start playing with kind of toe angles. And we could talk more after as well.
No, that's okay.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, the closed cell foam that you're using, do you have a source for that?
Kayak supplies are really good for that. We also have a manufacturer in Denver, but these are transfer blocks, so they change to different elevations based upon, so it's easier to get in and out of a bike or a hand cycle, and you're not sitting on the ground or on an unstable object. So
There's some packing material that also gives you that closed cell that you can build off of, and you can glue together and reshape to a specific need. So it's out there in a variety of forms.
if you go to any kayak dealer, though, they will sell 2 inches the thickest, and then you can just you just use contact cement. Weldwood is my favorite kind. Glue blocks together as deep as you want, and then use a bread knife to cut and shape.
Another question. Come on, guys. We've got some good
You're
examples
all
here.
quiet. Come on.
I guess my hardest thing is with amputation below the knee and kind of controlling like that, because most of the time they don't have the same range of motion in their knee, and adapting to that. I work a lot with the VA, and that's, one of the ones that I have the most.
So you got to watch extension. So give more extension to that leg and use a crank shortener on the other leg, because extension flexion, the flexion is going to be where it'll hit their prosthetic if it's coming up.
Yeah.
Or if that's a suction system versus a pin system. Pin
Yeah.
system, you're going to have more of a natural
Yeah.
kind of tibial platform that it's going off of.
Okay.
And again, fine tuning that. You might see the problem and adjust to compensate and adjust a little more and adjust a little more and then adjust back. So don't be afraid to do that, because it's there. There is a solution to it.
Yeah, super extension is the answer a lot of times, including somebody with an above knee amputee without really high disarticulation where they're just getting impinged with their socket up high. So more extension is always better. And then you can put a little piece of triangular foam underneath to get one cheek up, and that might be just enough of that angle. Again, just process of trial and error.
Didn't you say you had something for here so your hand doesn't fall off?
Well, you could strap your hands on, which
No, I thought you
aren't
said you
great.
had something up there.
So there's the wrist rests. Those are just loosely mounted right now because our stuff sees thousands of people using them. Then there's transfer bars that you'll see on some of these bikes. There's attachments
No,
that
I
you
know. I'm just saying not instead of holding on like this, if my hand kind of went off, but just strap it on.
So,
Like for
I would.
stroke victims.
For somebody with stroke, a lot of times I'll put a harness on them, keep that hand up so it doesn't go into the back wheel or whatever type of bike that is. But you can also, like with mini cell, create a cup that is here and it just holds here.
So there's like forearm supports that you can literally have from your elbow forward and just rest and move back and forth. I mean, without
I actually
restrictions.
have a HP forearm support. It's buried in my trailer right
But
now.
you can imagine that, yeah.
It's just a plate with a simple strap.
But with strokes, I've often had just a sling or much like a broken arm might have, to just keep that arm or
Right.
from falling to the side.
I have some friends, they have it.
Well,
Like you just said with Parkinson's or stroke victims.
or a lot of times with a stroke victim or with CP, I like to have a Velcro glove that will at least clip around or enable the hand to get to that grip.
So
As,
this is called an active hand, does just that. So it'll go on anything. If I may not have a complete hand, so I can put my hand on, put this on, strap this, and now I've got grip. Things like that. But this is made, you can sweep, you can vacuum the house, you can do all kinds of things with an active hand. So.
Anybody else out here? Boy, I'm having to work to get an audience here. You guys were on a bike earlier. Tell us what.
Go.
Come on up, would you?
Fight to get this thing to start.
So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions,
Okay.
and I know you've been on a motorized chair.
Yep.
And tell me how long you've been on that.
Actually, VA just got me this chair this year,
Okay.
and they finally said, "You're falling too much.
Right.
You need to plant yourself."
Okay.
And I didn't like that, so
You didn't like the falling part, or
no, I didn't like planting myself.
Well, here we are.
'Cause,
So,
yeah.
but today you got on a trike.
Yeah,
Okay, and you started off a little slow,
yeah,
but within a short
Yeah.
time we were able to get you
Yeah.
around the track a few
yeah.
times.
I have a conventional recumbent, and we actually were in the market to try and find Haze, or however you pronounce it. I can't pronounce it right. And we got referred to this show, and that's how we got to be here.
Well, we like that.
Yeah.
So
I want to make sure
And-
you talk to Shannon and the rec therapy crew. You're here?
No.
Oh,
No, I'm actually
North
in
Carolina.
Asheville.
Oh, you're in Asheville.
Yes.
They have a great rec therapist there that
Yeah.
can definitely line you up.
Yeah, I'm gonna be talking to them hopefully Monday.
But,
But
you
they-
got going pretty good there once your
Yeah,
legs started
yeah.
to connect to the
I actually made
cables.
a trip around with you as a cheerleader. It was pretty awesome.
A lot of times that happens, yeah.
I had great moral support, and I'm gonna sleep really well tonight. I have a feeling.
Yeah, well, it's good on the
So-
cardiovascular, but
Yeah,
you're also
and I
you're
can
using your
feel
legs
it.
in a way you haven't.
Yeah. I know I'm gonna feel it. I may not be able to move tomorrow, but I have MS too, so this is
We're related.
yeah.
Yeah. But we're all related because we're all on bikes here today, so
Yeah.
I think that's a critical point to make.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to share a story or a benefit from what they've seen here today? I know there's a lot of different bikes. We've got them from extreme sports to adaptive sports to just getting around.
Who here is a dealer? Is there anybody here? Okay. There's a few of you. Who here that's a dealer does a lot of adaptive related sales?
Our whole shop started out by accident because of her MS. She wasn't walking at all when we started.
Beautiful, beautiful. Are the
Working with the VA is becoming the backbone of our business.
and you're in Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you work with any adaptive sports organizations?
Outdoors for all.
Outdoors for All. They're
Very
a great
close to
crew.
Outdoors
Very
for all.
Tell Dan I said hello.
I started because they're the ones that introduced us to the companies.
Good folks.
Yes, they are.
Back when it was called Ski for All.
So, is there any dealer that is wanting to better understand the marketplace? And we could have an after session. We'll call it.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say, and one of the reasons that we put this together, I don't know, we're not on a timeline because we're outside.
Oh,
but,
okay.
what I was going to say is, Chris is an amazing example in Adaptive Adventures of a rolling road show. The equipment has been thought out, it's been tried, it's been tested, and if as a dealer you were wanting to do outreach, this is a grand example of what the potential might be. It may not need to be on this scale, but the setup is here, and Chris can help any of you, and he's quite gracious with that time. We've traveled together before.
So I do pass through.
Or so.
I get about 50,000 miles a year of driving this thing around. So,
Well, the point I was going to say, please look at the trailer. This is an open house. Anybody that's got questions, anybody that wants to see how that's set up or why it's set up the way it is, there are lessons to be learned. And so on that dealer element of things, you may want to do it on a different scale. The other thing I would recommend as a bicycle dealer, I mean, most of us are fairly specialized in the recumbent world, but is to do more outreach. Don't just sit there and wait for people to come to you. Go out and participate in the events, get your customers to participate in events, and be seen. You will get more customers coming to you for that effort.
We do a lot of those, Dave. In fact, we just did, last Saturday, we did a blind event in Spokane.
Example, yeah.
And every trike that I brought was gone. I mean, the entire time. I mean, they'd come back and say, somebody else want this? And they went, no, okay, we're gone again.
Yep.
So.
and that's a lot of what I do. And feel free to reach out to me again. I travel all over the country as well as some of our other staff. And our goal is to get a better awareness of adaptive technology, adaptive resources, disability awareness. There's a lot of things that we can do. Just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't ride a bike on your own or paddle a river or whatever it happens to be. Or because you don't have limbs, you can't bike. Yes?
How does somebody that cannot see ride a bike on their own?
So it's in a very controlled situation. So a lot of it's verbal commands. With a recumbent trike, you're not accommodating lack of proprioception in their feet, so they're sitting and their hands are oriented even on both sides. And then with a side walker, you start in usually a grass location with a couple obstacles. Can they go around those obstacles? So understanding motion propulsion, so getting them to pedal, understanding slowing versus stopping, because we all know the plan B options of stopping can be abrupt, and then navigation. So for somebody, and I included with blind riding 2 wheels, same sort of grassy situation, low seat. It's like a running bike. They can go figure out balance, speed, again, slowing versus stopping. And then there's a lot of communication. There's also often too much communication that happens in the VI world. So it's very easy. You are their eyes. You can, in the recumbent trike, for instance, if they are not paired up on a Delta model or similar, and they're on their own, it's hold that line, which means you're great. Hold steady. You can say easy left, easy right, big turn right. We use different syllables in each of the commands that they get used to. Big turn left, meaning I'm coming around the corner. And sometimes the arc of that turn might be as long as that syllable and word is being used. So there's different tools you can do, and I'm hoping to create a video series shortly on navigating for somebody with a visual impairment.
So you have lots of great ways for people to be on their bicycles. I'm facing double hip replacement in about 3 years, and I love my trike, but I have difficulty getting in it now. I mean, I almost fall over. Just, do you develop methods for people who are post-op? Because I'm not going to be able to just sit down and get in my bike.
So go ahead.
Well, good physical therapy will be your first step,
Sure.
but also enabling you to get, selecting a bike that would be suitable for easy transfer and sitting.
I own a Cat Trike 559 right now, which is great. I love my
Sure,
bike.
of course.
It's wonderful, but I'm starting to have difficulty. There's this 559. Let me just pull that one out.
You mention it,
And
we do it.
just the lifting is the hard part. So
Okay, so there are some different tricks, and I think we're about to demonstrate that.
So a common I call it a mess up factor, is either back up, catch, now I take an experienced type C fun, or I come in, I step over, oh darn, I got to step over again, it's like hopscotch. Or what I like to make sure people are doing first and foremost is they kind of open the door,
grab the brake.
and then step in, and then with different transfer bars and different things. In this case, there's not that, but you can go slow, sit down, get yourself anchored. You could have a leash for your foot or grab your shoelaces to now get it up, rest, get it over the rest of the way. Again, segmented motion is the answer when you're dealing with traumatic injuries or other lacking range of motion.
The method of straddling it is going to be one that for any kind of hip surgery, they Velcro you. I've already had one.
Yes.
They Velcro your legs together when you sleep.
Right.
They get really uppity when you try to open
Stretch
that
out,
angle.
right?
And I mean, my orthopedist, stop that. And,
Well-
and I'm a physician too. I understand.
So to that point,
Dave.
your physical.
I've got like 3 minutes, 2 minutes left on the SD card. If you want to, could you just like wrap
come
up
back
the
to
thing?
you
And
on
then,
that.
And then
Sure.
yeah, please continue. But I don't want to. I want to have it on the video. If you want to sum up maybe or last words.
There is no wrap up to this. It's an ongoing topic.
Or I can just,
So, no, literally, I mean, we can go on and on for days on this topic. I sat last night with a couple of guys this was one of them, and that talked about mobility and bike riding, adaptive, inclusive around the world. We're here. We've got a lot of solutions. So yeah, we can go on and on about this.
and where can people? Maybe a good idea to finish up. Where can people? Who should people contact?
Aha.
And where should they go?
Okay, I appreciate that, Gary. So to find out about adaptive inclusive, you can go to most any recumbent dealer. that's here, or you Google search adaptive inclusive, you're going to find a resource that can help you find a ride that's going to work for you.
There you go. Let's finish up.
Okay, so and as far as that is concerned, we are always open for resource questions, whether it's how to access your VA, different grants. There's so many grants for civilian or veterans out there and opportunities to get on bikes. But adaptiveadventures.org is one way to reach us. We are located in Denver with offices also in Chicagoland. And me, I'm just cycling at adaptiveadventures.org. And I am more than happy to have conversations about, again, hows and then answers for whys you can't do something. So
some of your scheduling is on that website. Rad Innovations also has a connectivity to a dealer network. It's mapped out. You can find dealers around the country. You can find resources of information. You can find videos to answer a lot of the questions that some of the people have asked. So, I mean, there's and there are others as well.
Okay. Chris and Dave, thank you so much.
thank you.